Houston, our instruments are showing that we have a incoming message from deep space. Repeat, Houston, we have an incoming message from deep space. Houston, we'll begin playing message now. Houston, we're going to try and translate that up here. Hold for translation. Translation complete. We'll begin playing message now.
Hey, it's me, Melissa.
What do you do when the aliens invade? Take a shot of MK Ultra and watch Melissa Jade. Put on your tinfoil hat and tune right in. We got that crime spree, flat earth theories, government conspiracies, a complex Mandela effects, unidentified objects, a mind expanding, fake moon landing, what it all bends understanding. It's me, Melissa. It's me, Melissa. Aliens is on the sun or in Area 51. Time travels, unravels, haunted castles, cops are baffled, potential experimental thoughts that make you transcendental. It's me, Melissa. It's me, Melissa. Crime sprees, flat earth theories, government conspiracies, complex Mandela effects, unidentified objects, a mind expanding, fake moon landing, what it all bends understanding. It's me, Melissa. It's me, Melissa.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much, KFC, for becoming a member. Hi, Harlot People Me, Jules, Hippie Chick, Poor Linda, Angel D, Destination, Cray Cray, Jules, Nana Banana, Hilson, House of Crazy, Edith, Irina, Grateful Mama. Ooh, apple pie. Yum. I'm skipping straight over dinner. I'm going to do my best. I even debated. I was like, because I was on Dietz's panel and it was like over 4 hours and it's like back in the middle of the day, you know? And I was like, yo, I'm so tired. And for a split second there, I almost canceled on you guys, but I feel too guilty. I feel too guilty to like not come, you know, like, and I love, like, it's not just guilt. I love coming on with you guys and hanging out, but part of me really just wanted to go lay down for like the last little bit of the night and, you know, just watch a movie and eat dinner. But I was like, I can't leave you guys. I can't leave you guys. So I'm gonna do my best. I can't promise I'm gonna be on for hours, but I'm gonna do my best and push through. Um, I know, Grateful Mama. I know. But yeah, I'm like, can't cancel on my peepee. Ew. Oh my god. On my people. Oh my god. That's my that might be what you get tonight. Because my brain is starting to get you know. I didn't mean to say peepee. Oh dear Lord. Um oh thank you, Chris. That was really embarrassing. We started uh Al Stauch on the stand. Yes, Angel. And especially the topic was WSU Kim, and it brings out a lot of emotions for me. So now I'm like, tired. Hi, Victor King. Oh, okay, enjoy bed, Cal. What's it called? Dude, I can't believe I said PP. That's really embarrassing. But Jules, I'm really excited to do the trial recap. We're still on Al. And so we're still gonna have to be dealing with the camera not being filming him or on the TV for the evidence that they show. What was it called? But his testimony is very important, obviously, but I'm really eager to go through other witnesses also and start putting together some of the things that we've picked up along the way. Angel. Oh no, not a banana. That stings. We appreciate you, PP or no PP. Thank you. Gotcha, Jules. Hey, MK, you missed the PP. All right, so before we get started, I'm going to remind you of our missing child. You guys remember Abby Jo Blagg. She has been missing since November 13th, 2001 out of Grand Junction, Colorado. She would be 29 years old currently. There is an age progressed photo of her to 23 years old. Abby and her mom were last seen at their house on November 12th between 3 and 3:30 p.m. Abby's mother was located deceased in June 2002, but Abby is still missing, which is very concerning. So if you or anyone you know has information on her whereabouts, please contact the Mesa County Sheriff's Office at the number located in blue. Hey, Peter. Hi, Lee the Bee. Hell yeah, Lee the Bee. I haven't seen Blue. Where's my boy, Blue? Hi, Julian. Okay, so we're just going to jump right back into where we left off yesterday and paused. Let me pull that up. And yeah, we're going to do our best just to push through, and we got this. Hi, Sunshine Mafia. Saying endangered people. I said endangered peepees. Oh my goodness. You know what? And it's weird because your brain does function differently when you're in front of people. And there's pressure, but you can't control it. Hey, Keith. Roro. You're funny. He'll appear. Sure, Kim. We sure can. Okay, so here we go, guys. We got Tisha in that back right corner.
Would the defendant use manipulation?
Yeah.
Whether she enjoyed being in Alaska.
Wait, all right, hold on. I jump back a second.
So
Give Alaska back to Russia?
Just give it to him because it's so bad up there.
Is the sky blue?
Would the defendant use manipulation on you in your relationship?
Absolutely.
Objection calls for speculation. Overruled.
Go ahead, you can answer.
Absolutely.
In this time period that we're talking about where you were in Alaska, and she's telling you that she hated it, did she manipulate that situation to try to get you to leave that duty station?
Yes, sir. At the end, she did.
When you say the end, what do you mean by the end?
By the end, that's what her manipulating a situation is what led me to leave Alaska.
When did the manipulation in that regard change or cause you to start to leave Alaska?
That specific incident or set of incidents would have been in the fall of 2018.
Mm-hmm.
What was the nature of that manipulation?
Objection 404B. Counsel approach, please.
Okay, I need them to mute this here. Okay. Just the judge has given. I realize
So
you guys want to see.
He's going to be like, yo, you can't use manipulation. Like, you can't ask, hey, was she being manipulative when she did a specific action? Because you can't testify what someone's intentions were. You know what I mean? So that's what the objection is going to be about.
Witness video, or we're not supposed to, but though. In the close up to it. That if crop
Until about 10:40. Again, do not discuss the case among yourselves. Do not discuss the case with anyone else. Do not do your own investigation about any
They're
aspect of
taking their
this
morning
case.
break.
And if we can have everyone back in the jury room ready to go at 10:40, we should be able to start on time at that point. All right, would you do it, please?
So I missed what the objection. little bit.
The jury has left the courtroom. We were having a discussion at the bench regarding the permissible areas to go into. And it seems to me, Mr. Allen, that what you can do is, I think it's probably safer just to use some leading questions, talk with your witness as well. But I do think that he can talk, as I understand it, what the evidence is going to be, or the offered evidence is going to be, is that Ms. Stauch made a claim regarding sexual harassment.
Oh, yes, she did.
Against some other people in his unit that may have made it uncomfortable for Mr. Stauch to remain in that unit. And apparently that's why he decided to change duty station. We're not going to get into what the substance of those allegations were. Mr. Stauch, you would be prohibited from saying or testifying whether or not you believed those allegations, whether or not you thought she was making them up, those kinds of things. You can say that she made them, and you can say that you can testify about how that made you feel and why you wanted to move, but you cannot testify about whether or not you thought they were true, unless she told you something different. Okay.
You can't tell.
Right.
Well, Judge, I think it's as I was saying at the bench, it's a form of manipulation to get that to happen. And so I do think it would be proper for him to say whether it was an attempt by the defendant to manipulate him being assigned to that duty station.
He can go ahead. Leading
to him then changing duty stations to Colorado.
He can testify that he thought she was manipulating him, but he cannot testify that that's what she thought.
There you go.
It's very interesting. It's again, I like to see the court process, and I'm still learning with it. But you cannot testify, even though we fucking know, yeah, Letecia was manipulating and lying, and she wanted him to leave. But you can't testify to possibly knowing that was her intentions.
Because in this case, I do think that there's some issue about whether or not the defendant may have manipulated certain events, or whether or not the defendant may have manipulated certain conduct at some point in time. And so I do think that that is relevant. I think it's admissible. I think it goes to some of the heart of the issue of the evidence in this case. So I think that he can testify as to whether or not he thought he was being.
Yay, Dog Mom. Thank you for becoming a member again. I love that photo. But thank you so much.
Being manipulated, and leave it at that. I don't think you can go any further than that. Mr. Tellini?
Yeah, and so I've got a couple different.
Go ahead.
I mean,
Go ahead,
one, basically what we're talking about, at least it sounds to me in a making record, that we're talking about propensity evidence. She manipulated him in Alaska, therefore when she was doing this other stuff in January of 2020, February of 2020, must have been manipulation as well. That is propensity. Further, there has been no 404B notice.
Mrs. Bend over. I will for MJ, but not for you. Thank you. I'll take it.
Filed by the district attorney of the prior bad acts. I'm unaware of any case that I've come across that does away with Rule 404B just because we raised the issue of not guilty by reason of insanity. Obviously, we have some different experts that are going to come on that have been provided different evidence. Some of that may be described as 404B. And so that expert, that influenced that expert's decision. I think it would be relevant and admissible through that expert. I just don't think it's admissible through this witness we have here. Because whether or not he felt manipulated or not has no real bearing on what was going on in 2020, unless we're talking about propensity, or unless we're talking about other motive, other types of stuff that would need to be endorsed under 404B.
I know him.
Judge, they have put the defendant's mental condition into relevance by claiming NGRI. This witness specifically spent a lot of time with this defendant over many years.
Look at her face.
And case law is clear that he can comment on whether she was sane or not, and if she was having any mental health issues.
You don't have a choice as far as Bigfoot Israel says. Why would anyone agree to offend her? These are not hired by Letecia. She's not paying for them, so they can't refuse. These are court-appointed defense lawyers. And so Tolini has been around and he actually acted as her like guide when she was going pro se to help guide her through the way, even though she was legally representing herself. So he's been there from the beginning. Yeah, public defender. And so of course there are situations where you can opt to no longer represent, like we see with Sarah Boone, for whatever differences, X, Y, and Z. But ultimately, every person has the right for a proper defense. And so it's not about what they want to do, you know?
Issues, which I do intend to get into. There is evidence that, as we know from preliminary hearing, that the defendant attempted to manipulate this investigation. We're going to have evidence from different people on that point as well. And that's sort of the track record of this particular defendant. That's not a bad act. That's mental condition evidence that they have put in play by claiming NGRI.
Hi, Kathy.
I tend to agree with the prosecution here. I've read I have read all of the psychological examinations, the competency and the sanity examinations.
They are not
I'm also
private,
familiar
public
with the
defenders.
facts that are involved in this case. I don't think it's necessarily propensity, but I also think that it would be appropriate to ask any of the experts that are coming whether or not
you probably have daddy problems. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Grusing and Werner are stern men who talk calmly but exhibit the power of authority at the same time. Like, I don't need to raise my voice to control you. I control you at this volume and level, and I'm respectful. Like, I'll get down and play with the kids. I would let them like ride on my back. At the same time, I'll lay down the fucking law. Like, there's something sexy about it. And their voices are very soothing. Right, tough men, but not in the sense where I'm going to deck you if you speak out, versus like, look at me. I'm the captain now. I'm the captain now. You know, like, I don't know. Just something, yeah.
conduct by the defendant in I think this was fall of 2018, would be an example of manipulation by the defendant. And if this testimony is not permitted at this point in time, or this evidence is not admitted at this point in time, there wouldn't be a basis by which to ask the expert that question when they take the stand. So I understand that you disagree, but I think that I do think that's appropriate. I think it is more of intrinsic rather than extrinsic evidence. So I am going to allow it. But again, Mr. Stauch will not be permitted to say whether or not he believed that those allegations were false or not. And he can testify as to what happened, how he reacted to it.
Yeah,
and we're dealing with a relationship between
the ladies
people.
know what I'm talking about.
You know, it has a lot to do with
we
his
are.
mental state, Mr. Stauch's
You think we're simping now? Wait until Grusing gets on that sound. I'm going to wake right up, all right?
mental state at the time that the investigation was going on, based on his history with the defendant. It also has something to do with the way that the defendant may have acted at the time all of this happened, based on her history with him. So I'm going to allow it, and you can do it through leading questions. All right. All right, with that, we will take our break. And so if Ms. Stauch needs a break, we need to do that now.
Hi, Melissa.
Oh, all right. Thank you, Mr. Tripp. All right, court will be in recess. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to jump forward.
Mr. Stauch, you may want to talk with Mr. Allen about what the parameters are.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
They're allowing the jury back in.
And then she's shackled in her
You may all be seated. Court will recall 13.
Yeah, look at her standing up.
She can't
Look at,
really move freely. She'll have to be
Thank you. May all be seated.
rehandcuffed.
I'm sorry, but look at her. How did she become square? That's what I want to know. How did her fucking jawline change? Okay? I don't get it. How did she become a fucking Lego? Make it make sense.
Cuffed. So her hands are free, but she can't really move freely. She'll have to be.
Thank you. May all be seated.
re-handcuffed.
Court will recall 13 or 20 CR 1358 People versus Letecia Stauch.
She's
Record should
sticking it
reflect
in
the
her
jury
ears.
has returned to the courtroom.
Sticking tissues in
When
her
we took our
ears.
break, we were in the midst of the examination of Mr. Stauch. That's where we
Now that's really big. That's really big because that is someone who is literally trying to, I don't even want to hear the truth, okay? I don't even want to hear. I thought you were so excited, all of those cocky ass messages, how they were tainting the jury pool and you'll have your day and everyone's going to know you're telling the truth. Yet you're stuffing your ear fucking holes with tissues. Hi, Deets. We're not doing anything. We're behaving.
will resume. Mr. Stauch, I remind you, sir, that you're still under oath. Mr. Allen.
Thank you, Your Honor. So, Al, we were just getting into whether the defendant manipulated your assignment to Alaska. Did she? Well, let me ask you
She's
this.
holding her ears.
There was a point in time where she raised sexual harassment claims that caused tension for you and your command in Alaska. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Did that involve a Corporal Jenkins and a Lieutenant Colonel Ortega?
Captain Jenkins, and yes, Lieutenant.
Captain Jenkins.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Again, I don't know these National Guard.
Don't rat us out,
It's
Dom.
Army.
Army.
Yeah,
Okay.
Army.
Again, I don't know that either.
Hi, Jenks.
I think she was.
I had
plugging
asked you
her ears.
before whether she was happy being assigned, having you all living up in Alaska, and I think you said no.
Absolutely not. Yes.
Did this claim of sexual harassment, not asking you
Hello,
whether it was
Red.
true or not, but did that lead to
Hi,
you
Amanda.
eventually leaving Alaska and coming to Colorado?
Yes, sir. It did.
Were there two specific things that you witnessed that were sort of at the heart of these sexual harassment claims?
Yes, sir.
Hey, fans.
Did one of those involve Captain Jenkins?
Yes, sir.
Was that a time when you were at some establishment and there was some drinking involved?
Yeah, me and me and the
Hi,
defendant showed up for dinner, and the other person was already there and had been drinking. Yes, sir.
The other person being Captain
Captain
Jenkins.
Jenkins. Yes, sir.
Was that one of the issues that the defendant raised as the basis for sexual harassment?
That situation, yes, sir. A comment he had made.
Okay.
Hey, Pablo.
And we're not calling Captain Jenkins, so we don't need to get into what he said.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then as it relates to Colonel Ortega, did you witness a specific event that was an interaction between Lieutenant Colonel Ortega and the defendant?
Yes, sir.
What was that specific thing?
Let me describe the event.
Yes, that
So
you witnessed.
I was the S1, which is the personnel officer for the battalion. Lieutenant Colonel Ortega was the battalion commander. I was still in the office. The defendant was coming to pick me up because we only had one vehicle in Alaska. And she was coming from the house to pick me up. And when I came out of the building, he was leaning over into the truck, talking to her. I don't know what they were talking about or anything. And then as soon as he saw me, he left, didn't stop and, communicate with me, he just left and walked away. And that was it.
Okay. And so did the defendant specifically use that incident as another part of the allegation of sexual harassment?
Yes, sir.
Did she file a
Liar.
formal complaint with your command?
There was I don't know. I don't think it was with the command. I think it went through the state. So
Okay.
the Alaska National Guard. I don't know this.
I don't believe it. I'm sorry, and I can't tell you if it did or did not happen. But we know her history. We have dived as deep into this case, Allie. Hi, Allie. As possible. We know she has claimed sexual assault, sexual harassment, faking break-ins. We have seen her do it all. And how am I supposed to pick out if there was one instance that happened to be truthful? No, this is what she did. And this contributes to that candle incident. When you claim over and over incidents that happen and reasons that we need to leave and poor me, you have to elevate and step it up every single time. And I think that's what the candle incident was, her stepping it up all these notches because she's had so many prior allegations and claims.
specifics of it. My only involvement was to basically say what I just said.
Okay. So what I'm asking you is, when I say command, again, I'm not informed on National Guard. Did she inform the National Guard of this complaint of sexual harassment?
Yes, sir.
And you knew that?
Yes, sir.
Did that cause you issues in your unit?
Yes, sir.
And did that eventually lead to you transferring from Alaska?
Yes, sir.
Was there a time when she specifically sent you a text and told you that she was pregnant?
Yes.
And did that text also include a ultrasound picture?
Yes.
Did she tell you that she was actually pregnant with twins?
Yes, sir.
Was that another form of manipulation?
Yes, sir.
Sustained. You can ask him how.
It was a lie.
Did the defendant ever give birth to twins?
No, sir.
Did it ever turn out that she was?
You know what? Well, let me do a switcheroo. You won't let me ask it directly. Did she ever give birth to twins? No. All right, jury. You could come to the conclusion that she is a manipulative twat.
Pregnant with twins?
No, sir.
Sustained. Jury will disregard that answer.
Well, did you ever go to any doctor's appointments with the defendant?
For that specific instance, no.
Okay. Do you know whether she went to any doctor's appointments for that specific incident?
I'm confident that she didn't. No, sir.
Tisha. Come on, Tisha.
So we talked about the sexual harassment claim and that causing tension in your unit, and that eventually leading to you transferring from Alaska, right?
I know, Nicole.
When did that actual transfer occur?
Like I said previously, I when I say boots on ground, I arrived here February 15th, I believe, 2019.
And I think you had previously said that the defendant preceded your move to Colorado.
Yes, sir.
When did she leave Alaska?
So she wasn't in Alaska. She came to Alaska for a couple weeks or a month, I think in December of, that would have been 2018. She brought the kids with her, that being Gannon and Elena and Harley as well. And then we stayed there. Actually, we stayed in a house on one of the bases, like a temporary house. And then, like I told you, they came ahead of me about a month and a half or so.
Okay. So you're saying that they being the defendant and the kids.
Yeah, all the names I listed, the defendant, Harley, Gannon, and Elena.
Would that have been in January of 2019?
I believe they came in January because we did Christmas in Alaska.
Oh, of course, Teresa. Hey, Corey. Much endeavors. He's easily manipulated.
And I think you had previously said that the defendant actually found the 6627 Mandan Drive house, and that's where you all moved into.
Yes, sir.
You remember the defendant filing burglary allegations in 2019?
Yes, sir.
How many different ones did she file?
I believe it was 2, to my recollection.
Okay, Harlot. Me too, cutie pie.
One of those specific claims was a burglary in the fall of 2019, correct?
Yes, sir.
And there were some things that she pointed to you to support that as being a valid burglary claim.
Yes, sir.
One of which was a hammer hanging from a string in the garage.
Yes, sir.
That included potentially somebody had maybe got into the attic access in the garage.
A squatter is how she referred to
A
it.
squatter!
Was there ever a squatter in your house?
No, sir. No one was ever found.
Did you have an ammo can in the house?
I did. Yes, sir.
Was it dumped out on the floor and made to look as if someone had rummaged through it?
Oh, shit.
Stained, you can ask him what he found and what it looked like.
Okay. Tell us what you remember about this ammo can.
In this specific break-in allegation, the ammo can, I kept it I think next to the bed or under the bed or something. And it was open and dumped out like somebody had been rummaging through the ammo can. One of the clothes hampers was dumped out and the bed was kind of pushed. The mattress was pushed off the box spring, just enough to look like somebody had forced their way through that area.
Did the defendant tell you that that was another piece of evidence or sign that there had been a burglary in your house?
She did.
Was there also a gunshot claim?
There was.
Did this come from the defendant to you?
Yes, sir.
What did she say about that?
She claimed that she fired one of the weapons, I don't remember which one, up the storm well. That's pretty much what the summation of it.
So let's talk a little bit about that. One of the weapons you said. Did you have firearms in the house?
I did, yes, sir.
What kind of weapons?
I had a 9mm, a Smith & Wesson 9mm compact. I had I don't remember the brand, but it was a black and Tiffany green 9mm full size. I also had AR pistol type
Tiffany green
gun. There was a 20 gauge Benelli youth shotgun and a 12 gauge. It was all black shotgun. I forget the brand. And then I think there was at least one Smith & Wesson little 380 compact as well.
So when she's telling you that there was a weapon that she fired in I think you said the storm well, is that the window well?
A major point, Roro. They're trying to establish that Letecia has a very long history of lying about very significant things. Break-ins, people at the house. I had to shoot a gun at somebody. She staged the area to look a certain way. She claimed she shot at an intruder. She hung a fucking hammer, Home Alone style, like Kevin McAllister, on a string to the ceiling, and none of it was true. So they're going to tie it in to her staging Gannon's room, the claims of somebody breaking in, her claims of she had to shoot at someone. Everything correlates, everything.
Yeah, and the specific one was the window well next to, if you remember the picture where the computers were, there was a window well right behind those computers. That's the one she said that she fired it out of.
Did you ever find a shell casing associated with that gunshot?
No, sir.
In that particular, those pistols that you're talking about, the Smith & Wesson 9mm, that what sounds like a Tiffany green or blue 9mm and that 380, are those semi-automatic handguns?
Yes, sir.
Are you familiar with semi-automatic handguns?
Sir.
Have you fired them?
I don't know specifically the 380.
So what I'm asking is generalized. Have you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
When you fire those weapons, does the slide
you're fine,
automatically
Rolo.
slide back and eject the shell casing?
Ejects it and then loads the next round into the chamber.
Did you ever see any evidence that that gun had been fired in that window well in the basement?
No, sir.
Did the defendant ever admit to you that she made up those burglary claims?
Yes, sir.
What did she say?
I don't remember specifics, but I don't know how much you want me to elaborate, but I had to do some digging and eventually I found out that most of the stories she had told was just not accurate. And then she finally admitted to making up the claims of break-ins.
Making faces so she can.
I don't remember if she gave a reason.
Yeah, look at her faces.
In your mind,
Oh, you're shaking your head no.
was that another attempt?
Oh, are you shaking your head no? What's that, Tisha? No. Fuck you. I'm sorry. Now I'm getting mad. Fuck you, though. Seriously. You looking at him and you're rolling your eyes as if he's crazy. We heard it firsthand. Firsthand, girl.
Or attempts at manipulating what was happening in your relationship?
Absolutely.
At some point in 2019, did you and the family get into family counseling?
Not family counseling.
Well, counseling.
Yeah, Gannon and Lena specifically.
Okay. What about the defendant?
To my knowledge, I don't think she had counseling.
Okay. Did she make specific comments to you about Gannon that led to you wanting to get Gannon into this counseling?
Yeah, there was two reasons. And do you want me to elaborate on that?
Yes.
Okay.
As long as these are things that she told you as to things that led you to want to get Gannon into counseling.
Yes, sir. One of the reasons is the other reason was, like I said before, he was a mama's boy, and both the kids had struggles with, we had a little bit of back and forth of custody issues. So that was part of the reason. The other reason is she made a claim that he was coming after her to some degree.
He and her.
Gannon coming
Look at
after
her
the
face.
defendant to some degree. And so, once again, twofold mission with the counseling. One, to make sure he's dealing with his, the situation with his mom and being apart from her. And then also the counseling should uncover anything else that's going on or any disdain he had for the defendant.
Who was the defendant closer to as far as the two little kids? So Gannon and Lena.
Lena, undoubtedly.
You say undoubtedly?
Absolutely, she was.
Interesting. And I believe that because I think Letecia resented men. But not in a way that we can understand. Like, oh, she had this childhood. No. I think she just manipulated and hated males. And hi, Shay. But she always said, I was actually closest to Gannon. Me and Gannon were so similar. No.
Whose idea was it to move Gannon into the basement?
It was mine.
Okay. Did you ever witness Gannon displaying any behavior that would support the claim that Gannon had it out for the defendant?
Absolutely not, towards no one. I absolutely never witnessed that, period.
Did you ever take family trips together?
With the defendant and the three children?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Specifically, was there a trip in early January
January
of 2020?
That would have been just myself and the defendant.
Okay. What was that trip?
It was to celebrate our anniversary, and we went on a cruise out of Southern Florida.
Did you need a passport for that cruise?
I don't believe so. No, sir.
Did you ever take any trips with the defendant that required a passport?
I don't remember specifically. We had one when we went through Canada just to get it stamped, just for, remembrance. I don't remember specifically. Well, we did. We went to Mexico. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yep. Sorry, I forgot about that.
That's okay. So that leads to this question. Did you have a passport?
I did. Yes, sir.
When you said you went to Canada to get it stamped?
Mhm.
You have to say yes or no.
Yes, sir.
When you went to Mexico, did you get your passport stamped?
Yes, sir.
Did you see her with a passport?
In Mexico, yes.
Did she get that passport stamped in Mexico?
I don't remember. I would assume it would have had to been because we went to a resort in Mexico. So,
But you know for a fact that she did have a passport.
she did, absolutely.
Wonder why they're hammering the passports.
In this, and I'm going to ask you to give me a more specific timeline, but in late 2019, early 2020, where was the defendant working at that time?
Early 2020, I don't know, but late in 2019, she was employed, I believe it's Whitefield School District 3 and French Elementary School, as I referenced earlier. She was attempting, is what she.
Well,
told-
let me get to that. I'll get to that in just a second. So she was working in late 2019 at Whitefield School District.
Mhm.
That's
sir.
it.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
And again, that's for our court reporter. She'll get mad at me in a minute if we keep doing that. Was she enjoying her work there?
She was not.
Did she tell you that?
Absolutely.
What did she tell you?
She had a conflict
Look at her face.
based on her educational status. She had a conflict with a principal where she thought she was more educated and should have more of a leadership role. And then just other stuff surrounding that. I don't remember
Oh,
specifics.
fuck
So
you.
let's unpack that a little bit. When you said that she had a
I apologize. My commentary may not be much, and it may just be fuck you right now, but I just can't. It's probably why I shouldn't come on so tired. But just look at her face. What do you mean? What he's saying is so far out there? We've heard you say how educated you are, and you have a higher IQ than fucking Einstein. So she's fighting with even the principal. I should have more of a leadership role. She wasn't happy anywhere.
Conflict because she felt like she was more educated. You mean the defendant felt like she was more educated than the principal?
Yes, the defendant. Yes, sir.
Did you ever go to French Elementary School?
I did. Yes, sir.
How many times did you go visit her there?
I don't remember exactly, but I would cook lunch and take her lunch for her and her coworkers. And you can elaborate on that a little bit?
Just you would go there and take lunch?
Yeah, with her and sit and eat sometimes with her. Sometimes I would drop it off. Yes,
Did
sir.
you see her interactions with people at the school?
Yes, sir.
Did you see any problems with anybody at the school?
Not with her, the team that she was always with.
That conflict that you described with her and the principal, did that lead to her manipulating, in your mind, getting out of that particular school?
You've seen some scowls from the defendant there.
Overruled.
In my mind, it did, in accompanying with an injury claim she had as well.
Did she, okay, so let's ask, I'm going to ask you about that.
Okay.
Did she specifically tell you about some allegations she made about being injured at the school?
Yes, sir.
What did she tell you?
That she was standing on a bench or standing on the bookshelf or something, but she fell and a bookshelf fell and hit her in the head, and she had a head injury from that.
Did you ever see any signs on the defendant of being injured from either falling or having a bookshelf fall on her head?
No, sir.
Did that lead you to believe that this was another manipulation by the defendant?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Did she tell you what kind of work she was hoping to get into?
Yes, sir.
What was that?
She always had talked about wanting to be a airline flight attendant. And so I think from what I understand, she started pursuing that late 2019 through the Christmas holiday and into early 2020.
Who was she pursuing employment with?
Spirit Airlines.
Where's Spirit Airlines out of, to your knowledge?
I have no clue. I know she went to Orlando, Florida for Spirit Airlines training is what she told me.
Look at her face.
When did that happen?
I think shortly after Christmas, within a day or two after Christmas, 2019.
Bitch, you said that in your own
it
interview.
was a short trip.
Yeah, short trip because she really went to the mall.
You mentioned earlier when we were first talking about the weekend of January 25th, Saturday, Sunday, January 26th, your mom being in town.
Yes, sir.
When did your mom get into town here in Colorado Springs?
She was here for about a week, if I remember correctly. I don't remember a specific date, but she was there, I think, that whole week.
Did she stay in a hotel or at the house?
At the house.
Where did she sleep?
Oh, I don't remember that specific time where she slept.
Okay. You mentioned that there was Gannon's bed in his bedroom.
Mhm.
You have to say yes or no.
Yes, sorry.
And then there was a second bed in Gannon's bedroom.
Yes,
And then there was a bed in Harley's bedroom.
yes,
She was
There
gone
was the master
one
bedroom?
day
yes.
for
And then you
training.
had couches both downstairs and
She
upstairs.
never went.
Do you remember with that in mind where your mother slept when she visited you in?
I still don't, not that
Okay.
specific visit.
Okay.
T. Renee, is that any better?
How were you and the defendant getting along during this period of time when your mom was visiting?
Not well.
This is still direct.
How was the defendant interacting with your mom?
I think it was fine and peaceful. I don't remember it being there any negativity.
Was there anything out of the ordinary?
I don't remember.
Okay. You mentioned going up to DIA on January 25th after having dinner and all that sort of stuff. Is that the last time you saw Gannon alive?
Yes, sir.
Did you say anything to him?
Yeah, he was, we were at the top of the stairs and I was getting ready to leave with mom and me and Gannon were at the top of the stairs and I just gave him a hug and I always used to rub my fingers through his hair and just told him I love you. And something I would always tell the kids when I had to leave or when they would go back to their mom's house was like, you know, you're always going to be in my heart and I'm always going to be in your heart. And I'll see you when I get back. And he's like, okay, Daddy, love you. And I'm going to finish watching Pokemon. I remember it like it was yesterday. Yep.
We got into this a little bit earlier about the phones, and I asked you specifically about the phone that was assigned to Gannon and Lena, and whether law enforcement asked you for access to that phone. Do you remember that?
Yes, sir.
Aaron, may I approach?
You may.
30 people, 28.
Yep, I remember.
Do you recognize this?
Absolutely, that's their phone.
What is this?
That's Gannon and Lena's phone from that time period.
Does it appear to be changed at all?
It does not.
Okay. Now I move for admission of people's 228.
No objection.
Exhibit 228 will be admitted.
I asked you earlier about when you would take trips together. Do you remember taking a trip to Hawaii?
Yes, sir.
When did that occur? You okay?
Yes.
Is there Kleenex up there?
Yeah, I got some.
Okay.
I think 2018 spring. It was right before that volcano erupted. So I think it was spring of 2018.
Who went on that trip?
The defendant, myself, all three children, Harley, Gannon, and Elena.
Do you remember taking a video of Gannon in Hawaii?
Yeah, we took multiple pictures and videos. Yes, sir.
I've actually got a photo. You're admitting the actual photo, not a copy of it.
May I approach?
You may.
People's exhibit number 15. If you need to take it out of the sleeve, you can do that.
Excuse me. I recognize it. I recognize my initials right there.
What is People's Exhibit 50?
Now I also see the date of when I initialed it. It says Facebook video of Gannon Stauch.
Is this a video of Gannon in Hawaii?
I believe so. Yes, sir.
And you saw the content
I
of
did.
this disc?
Yes, sir.
Is it fair and
Yes.
accurate
I thought it was a photo.
copy of that recording from Gannon in Hawaii?
Yes, sir.
All right, move for admission of People's 50.
Amy,
Your approach.
is there an objection?
Yes, it's relevant.
Alan?
Do you want to say it from here? Yes.
Okay, they need to kill the mics here. He's doing a good job with
Wonder
that.
why he didn't want his objection heard in front of the jury.
If he's cool with sharing his, I want to show the judge during the. So they've objected. Okay, so they're in our view of the defendant as soon as he's back. Admit any that I would ask. It's
Mr.
just,
Allen?
this is
Yeah,
all
so we'll come back
background.
to that in a moment, Al.
No foundation yet for that.
I object to the witness by
Yeah, Mr. Allen, you need to refer to the witness by Mr. Stauch.
Okay.
They object because he said Mr. Allen. Wow. Defense is the definition of kickback, taken it easy.
So it's not like a wedding, Kate, for Big Little Voices, where the defense supporters sit behind the defense side and the prosecution's supporters sit behind the it's not like bride versus groom. It's just everyone sits behind the defense. It's just wherever you could sit.
It's a good thing those chairs recline. Or they would
Hey,
be like
Jesse.
balancing on the back two legs, like my kids, like I did, when I was on the four-legged chair. They're just completely laid back.
About the defendant telling you that Gannon had it out for her. Did she make a specific comment
Look
to
at
you
her
about
face.
Gannon and a knife?
Yes, sir.
To you?
Yes, sir.
What was that comment?
Something about he had threatened her with a knife or came at her with a knife.
Did you ever see Gannon threaten anybody with a knife?
No threats ever out of Gannon, knife or no knife.
No idea, but her
And was that
clothes
right
look bad.
before you got Gannon into counseling in 2019?
Yes, sir.
They're talking about the switchblade incident.
I think the judge ruled that there hasn't been a
When I
foundation
asked you
laid for it.
about, specifically, I asked you earlier about trips that you would take together.
Mhm.
You also mentioned that the defendant was trying to get a job with Spirit Airlines.
Yes, sir.
Did she like to travel?
Notice when she's talking to her lawyer, she had to pull out the tissue from her ear. Watch. And if you don't realize she's in the top left, zoomed up, she's over here.
That the defendant was trying to get a job with Spirit Airlines.
Yes, sir.
Whoops.
Did she like to travel?
She loved to travel. Yes, sir.
Did she like to travel to Disney?
Yes, sir.
Did you ever go with her to Disney?
Yes, sir. In various configurations of family, I should say.
Did she ever take any other trips that you were aware of, either with you or without you?
Yes, sir.
Did you take cruises with her to the Caribbean?
Yes, sir.
Did she ever take any cruises to the Caribbean by herself that you knew about?
I don't know about by herself. I know with just Harley, I know she took a few.
Okay. What about to Australia?
Never heard of a trip to Australia. No, sir.
What about a trip to Bogota, Colombia?
Never heard of a trip to Bogota, Colombia either, sir.
What about Jamaica?
Don't know about Jamaica. Like I said, she went on trips to the Caribbean, so I can't attest to that.
Okay. You mentioned that cruise in Florida in, I think you said in January 2020 to celebrate your anniversary.
Yes, sir.
That was just you and the defendant.
Yes, sir.
Did you take other cruises together?
Yes, sir.
Did you take a cruise in Southern California?
We left out of Southern California, went to Ensenada.
When was that
Let's
roughly?
go. While I was in Alaska, I don't remember exactly. So between 2017 and 2018, somewhere.
Did you take another cruise with the defendant in the summer of 2019?
We did, yes, sir.
Who was on that trip?
Myself, the defendant, Harley, and Gannon, and I think one of Harley's friends as well.
You mentioned taking a trip to Mexico. When was that?
That would have been right before I went to Oklahoma for 6 months. So 2016,
Where in Mexico did you go?
Cancun.
Was the defendant with you?
Yes.
Was she with you besides going to the bathroom or shopping or something like that, was she basically with you the whole time during that trip?
Yeah, there was one time I was sleeping and she said she went out and got dinner. Other than that, I think we were together 90% of the, I mean, a majority of the trip.
Did she ever tell you about waking up in a tent with cartel members?
Never heard that story from her mouth, sir. No.
Wow. In Australia.
Did you ever have stressors in your relationship between you and the defendant as it relates to finances?
Yes, sir.
What kind of lifestyle did the defendant want to live while you were with her? Based on things that either she told you or that you saw?
I mean, a classic example is she always compared herself and wanted to be like Kim Kardashian. That was kind of her main thing that she looked towards. I think a best way to sum it up is always wanted to live above our means.
Yep.
To live above your means?
Yes, sir. That's
And
a
she
good way to
did.
sum it up.
She didn't like the Kim Kardashian reference. That got a response.
Did you agree to being living above your means?
There was examples where I gave and there was examples where I didn't.
But was that ultimately a source of tension between you and the defendant?
Yes, sir.
Did she ever accuse you of infidelity or cheating?
Yes, sir.
I want to ask you about that storage room. Was it typical that you would keep luggage in that storage room?
Yes, sir.
Do you remember any specific suitcases that were kept in there?
Yeah, there was like a reddish orange one. They had some flowery, I don't know how to explain it, but some patterns on it. There was a large green one. I'd say extra large green one, actually. There was a few smaller, like carry-on size black suitcases. So we had quite a few.
Where did the large green one come from?
I believe that, well, I know for a fact it came from Landon, which is Gannon's mother, her Aunt Veronica. Landon took a trip there at some point in mine and Landon's relationship, and she came back with that suitcase full of clothes. And I just kept it after me and Landon split up.
Where, and was that also stored in that storage room?
It was.
Did you ever use that large green suitcase on trips?
I used it more so when I moved or PCS'd. I don't remember using it on a trip or vacation because it was just too big.
Do you remember being shown a picture of a suitcase under a bridge in Florida?
Yes, sir.
Did you recognize that suitcase?
Yes, sir.
What did you recognize it as?
That same extra large green suitcase from my house.
Want to have you flip to People's Exhibit number 48 in that notebook.
Yes, sir.
Do you recognize that?
Yes, sir.
What is that a picture of?
There's a picture of that extra large green suitcase we've been discussing.
Under a bridge?
I can see the footings of the bridge. I can't really see the bridge structure itself, but
Does that appear to be the same suitcase that we've been talking about that Landon's Aunt Veronica gave to Landon when you and Landon were married?
yes, sir.
That was stored in the storage room.
Yes, sir.
You know, I move for admission of People's Exhibit 48.
Exhibit 48 will be admitted. Go ahead.
And may we publish? Oh, there we go. What do you remember about that suitcase other than it being large?
There was a few things that were broken on it. I don't know if I remember. I don't know if the wheel was, but I think the handle on the other side was broken. There's a few things that had just worn down over time on it. But the size is the big thing. I remember how large the suitcase was. So.
Okay. All right. Your Honor, may I approach?
You may.
What's been marked as People's Exhibit number 33. Obviously a disc. Do you recognize this disc?
I do,
How do you recognize it?
because I initialed and dated it 31 March.
Did you watch the contents of this disc?
I did.
Is it a fair and accurate representation of a video that you have seen?
Yes.
Okay. I move for admission of People's Exhibit 33.
Defense?
Objection.
Exhibit 33 will be admitted. Go ahead.
In permission to publish, right?
You may.
Okay, so now we're back to that exhibit. They talked about the suitcase. The suitcase is probably going to be in the exhibit. That makes this relevant. As we talked about the large suitcase and going to Hawaii now. So now we're going to see this video. We won't.
We need the
So
screen.
we'll hear the audio.
It's not, you're not feeding yet. I have a pre-screen up here so that I can see.
I imagine the judge has
Okay.
a setup similar to mine on his desk. He seems to be the most technologically advanced person in the courtroom. Sure, and Mrs. R.A. left without making me any lunch. So I'm probably going to starve to death. No, I'll
Two, I just don't know what to do.
Well, devastating. Initially, Scott, I can't lie when the TMZ information.
Gannon, I promise this is the last time I'm gonna ask you. I'm just freaked out, okay? Are you sure you didn't do it on purpose?
Okay. Trigger warning. This is the last video of Gannon being alive with the audio that you can hear. It's a really tough video. This video, I didn't realize that was the video they were going for. I thought it was the Hawaii video. This would be after the candle incident. After they all ran out, got in the car, came back in. You heard the TMC in the background, right? That's because the video starts with Letecia turning on her bedroom light, and it shows Lena in the bed with the dogs, completely correlating her safe passage interview. Thank you, Cece. Life gets in the way, but loyalty runs strong. Thumbs up for Michael. I love you, Cece. Thank you so much. She walks through the living room area. You hear the TV on. TMC, I think they're reporting about the Kobe Bryant crash. She walks down the stairs, and it's pitch black. So she had Gannon downstairs in the pitch black, and he's crying. And you're going to hear the worst level of gaslighting you've ever experienced, leading. Good night, Frickets and Chiggles. Leading Gannon to believe he was at blame for this candle situation. He wasn't. But at this point, I do not think Letecia made the decision that she was going to kill Gannon. I think at this point, she took this video to try to back up what she was going to say to Al. And it was after this that she ultimately decided, no, she's gonna unalive him.
It's freaked out, okay? Are you sure you didn't?
I can't lie. Well, devastating. Initially, Scott, I can't lie when the TMZ information.
Gannon, I promise this is the last time I'm gonna ask you. I'm just freaked out, okay? Are you sure you didn't do it on purpose? Okay, you promise. You promise. Pinky promise. Okay, all right. So listen. We're gonna have to sell stuff to fix it. Okay. So we figure out what we gotta sell. We can sell the sofa. We can sell whatever, because we gotta get it fixed. So, lady, don't be mad at us and kick us out of the house. Okay. You got it?
Family's leaving.
You got it?
They can have
I'm
it.
just worried about my. Okay, shh, listen. So tomorrow.
He said, I'm just worried about my burns. This is really the only, oh my God, it's really hard. This is the only thing that we really have to confirm he did indeed suffer some type of burn. But the horrible part is, the candle incident didn't go down the way she said it did. So how did he get burned?
They can handle it.
just worried about my. Okay, shh. Listen. So tomorrow,
That was not the Hawaii vacation video.
They paused it. See, it
Council
wasn't
approach
supposed
for
to
a
be
moment,
that
please.
video.
It's okay.
It was probably the wrong, I don't know.
I imagine the judge is probably talking about the people who got up and left. The judge break abide by that with the fact that it was a burn, and Gannon is also concerned. His burn talks about a spot on the carpet or something. Yeah, because he heard some of the story as to
Right,
what
Mr. Allen?
happened, but we'll see.
two, I just don't know what to do.
So that you can see. Who is that?
That's Lena, absolutely.
Beginning of the video.
The email voice that you hear on that recording, who is that?
Tisha, excuse me, the defendant.
And then the other voice that you hear towards the end, whose voice is that?
Those are the last words I ever heard Gannon speak.
Want to have you jump back into that binder, Mr. Stauch, and look at People's Exhibits 19 and 20. Ones I mistakenly tried to admit without any foundation earlier.
Okay,
You recognize those?
19 and 20, yes, sir.
Are those, well, what are they?
Those are two different angles, pictures of Gannon in his bed.
Those are the photos I showed you.
Have you seen those pictures before?
I have, yes, sir.
When did you see them?
I don't want to mix it up. I know I've seen them in through various things, but one of these specifically, or at least one, if not both, the defendant sent to me that morning, which would have been Monday, the 27th.
Okay, so we're talking about January 27th of 2020?
Yes, sir.
And then you received those specifically from the defendant?
Yes, sir.
What method did you receive them from?
Text message.
Text message. Are they fair and accurate copies of the photos that you received on January 27, 2020?
Yes, sir.
I move for admission and permission to publish 19 and 20.
Mr. Fellini, exhibits 19 and 20 will be admitted.
That was a video of a
So I
cell
think
phone
we
footage,
have
I believe,
People's Exhibit 19 up on the screen now.
filmed by the defendant.
Tell the jury what we're looking at in People's 19.
So once again, that's Gannon in his bed. I referenced the TV off to the left. You can see it here, a TV in his dresser. The table we discussed earlier, and then once again, there's Gannon in his bed.
Is that typically the way Gannon would sleep in his bed with the blankets just piled on top like that?
No, sir. There was a couple things I noticed that
No, Brett.
were different. There seemed to
No. So there's two different parts. That was not the full video. He says, I'm just worried about my burns. We all heard that. Then at the very end of the video, as it cuts off, he says, I'm bleeding. And I'm pretty sure they play it. But that's separate from the I'm just worried about my burns.
be a big, I don't know, pillow or bulge or something down here. I don't remember this red and green blanket actually being on his bed. We've discussed that. I don't remember that.
Okay.
I can't say 100% that it wasn't ever, but.
And then People's 20? This basically just another depiction of that same scene?
Yeah, it appears to be, I think it's different though, because is it okay if I show
Well,
differences or?
let me ask you this. What is there a difference between the two photos based on your observations?
Yeah,
of it?
absolutely.
What are those differences?
If you look at where his hand is here, and if you look, if we can go back to the other one, his hands are in a totally different position. See how his hands were crossed right here, the blanket's kind of pulled back a little bit. And then a huge thing to me was his bed was almost never pulled away from the wall like this. And we discussed that in a previous photo, that his bed was almost always pushed up against the wall.
And then that's the bulge that you referenced in the other photo in People's 19.
Same as right here. Yeah, right there.
And then 20.
Right here. And notice that difference as well.
And do you even recognize that particular blanket, or was you recognize it, but you don't think it was typically on Gannon's bed?
Yeah, that blanket is one that was in our house somewhere. I just don't think it was a typical blanket. It wasn't his.
It was not his.
It was not his blanket, and it was not typically on his bed.
Okay. You can take that down for now. I want to jump back, Mr. Stauch, to when we were talking about your trip to Hawaii in 2018. And I previously showed you People's Exhibit number 50, which was that disc. I think I might have left it up here. Let me check, actually.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You want this time I move for admission of people. Request permission to publish.
Mr. Tellini,
Subject to prior objection.
objections?
That was me. I hit the mic.
Okay, all right. The objection is overruled. Exhibit 50 is admitted.
And permission to publish, huh?
You may.
They're doing a good job not having speaking objections here. Unlike the Zachariah Anderson trial, where we heard everything.
So before we start playing People's Exhibit 50, who do we see on screen there?
That's Gannon.
Go ahead and play it.
Where are you at? In Hawaii, go.
Not sure if the video's done. There's a very quiet audio that's not being picked up by the noise gate.
When you got back from Oklahoma, Mr. Stauch, did you participate in searches for Gannon?
Yes, sir.
Tell the jury about what you did to look for Gannon.
The first day, which would have been Tuesday, 28th, left the airport and then came home and just got somewhat organized. And then there was a story about Gannon running away or walking away. And there was somebody said they might have seen him at a gas station in Fountain. And so
let me ask you specifically, you don't know whether that was a true statement or not, correct?
in the moment I didn't, no.
Okay. But did that cause you to go do things to see if that was in fact a legitimate sighting of Gannon?
Yes, sir.
What did you do?
Myself and the defendant in my truck, my red Nissan truck, drove to that gas station. I went in, well, I think I met the officer there, if I remember correctly, and went in.
These were those fake sightings. Well, not necessarily fake sightings versus people in the neighborhood in the Larson Ranch area were giving potential sightings, and Letecia was repeating them as they are legit sightings of Gannon.
in and watched whatever he allowed me to watch the footage of what boy that was alleged to be Gannon coming in and out of the store, and so I could confirm if it was him or not.
Was it Gannon?
It was not. It was another boy with his father or whatever, another boy with an older man.
Just wasn't Gannon.
It just was not Gannon. No, sir.
What else did you specifically do to look for Gannon?
There was times when after the day was over, I'd drive around at night just seeing if I could spot him. That specific, I believe it was Tuesday as well, I had been downtown to the sheriff's office, given an interview, and then came back home and checked on the girls, being Harley and Lena, and then told them I was going out searching again, and went to the Walmart in Fountain. I was heading to the Walmart in Fountain. Just maybe he's in the video game section or GameStop or something. Just thinking of places he would be. And then it occurred to me, or I remembered that the defendant had said her car was at French Elementary School. And so I never actually went to Walmart. I went directly to French Elementary School to look for her vehicle.
And you previously told us that you didn't see her vehicle there.
Absolutely not. I drove around the school 3 times just to make sure I wasn't missing it.
Did she ever tell you where her car actually was?
Never did. That was the only thing she ever told me, was that I left it at French Elementary School.
At some point, based on things that you're learning, did you, in your mind, did it change from Gannon didn't come home from a friend's house to something different?
That was really the key moment. There was a lot of things we've discussed, a number of them, some discrepancies in the pictures, the rent-a-car situation. I think I had already known at that point that I had talked to my neighbors and surveillance from their house. He had never walked.
Well, I think what he's describing, Judge, is what he saw on surveillance.
You can't talk about what your neighbor said to you, but you can describe what you saw on the surveillance tape. Okay.
So 2 different circumstances. This is not the surveillance tape of the truck. This is.
Let me ask a question.
Yeah, thank you.
Did you
Help out. Thank you, poor Linda, for being a member for 5 months. So glad to be part of this wonderful family created by Melissa. You're so sweet. Thank you so much. Is that far from what? I don't feel like I've been on that long. But yay, creative minds, drive safe. We've been on for like over an hour, Megzy, but stay with us. Stay with us and then go back.
Did you have an occasion to see surveillance video from neighbors in your neighborhood? Did you?
Yes.
Okay. Did you see Gannon ever walking away on those videos from your house and never returning?
I did not. No, sir.
Okay.
So back to.
Well, I have to ask a question.
Okay.
So you were earlier describing an accumulation of things that led you to change your opinion or your mind as to what actually happened with Gannon.
Yes, sir.
And you said, I think one of the big things was the defendant telling you that her car was at French, you go to French and it's not there.
Yes, sir.
Is that accurate?
Yeah, that was the key moment when I switched from she knows more than she's telling me she knows.
Did you also participate in interviews at the sheriff's office as it relates to the investigation into Gannon's disappearance?
I did, yes, sir.
How many times did you go to the sheriff's office?
Twice on that day, once before the driving to French, and then immediately following that, I called them and said something's wrong, and I went immediately back to the sheriff's office after that.
In that same time frame, did the defendant add any additional information that she told to you as it relates to Gannon's missing?
Don't believe so. I don't think so.
Well, did she at some point tell you that she was raped?
That was the next morning.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
What did she say about being raped?
I'm not sure the date.
Sure, I'll clarify. We were talking about January 28th.
Yes, sir.
Just now about you
Gonna
doing
call him
interviews at the
tomato
sheriff's
man.
office.
Mr. Cook.
You said the next morning, so that would be January 29th. Is that accurate?
Wednesday, January 29th. Yes, sir.
What did the defendant tell you on January 29th as it relates to being raped?
So I slept on the couch. She called me into the room, and then she proceeded to tell me a story about how a man got in the house somehow. I don't remember that specific version, but he got
Let me pause real quick. Remember, we just went through these texts and we looked at the text as Letecia is in the room. Al was out on the couch. Harley was down in her room. Remember, and she's texting between Al and Harley. And she's like, you're really not going to get me the phone charger? Like, when is your mom going to come in? She didn't want any interaction with anyone in the house, remember? And then she was texting to Al from the bedroom and he was on the couch. And then eventually in that short window, she went to him and told him this new story.
Got in the house, raped her, abused her, beat her, and then beat Gannon up and took Gannon. And you want me to keep going on that specific?
I want you to tell what she said in that particular story.
Right. And then she also said he had got burned and then she said that I said, well, where's everything at? Like all the mess, the blood and everything. She said, well, I cleaned it up. I got scared. And it's okay. Well, where's the bloody mess, the clothes, the rags, whatever. Well, I disposed of it. Well, where did you dispose of it? It wasn't in the trash can at the house. It was somewhere else. And it was just this long string of stuff.
Okay. So let me break in there.
Sure.
It sounds like the way you're describing that's a discussion that you had specifically with her where you're asking her questions and she's responding to your questions.
Well, there was two parts, and that's why I asked you about elaborating. The first one was just her talking.
Okay. And so, but the last part that you just described, it sounded like you were describing an interaction where you're asking questions and she's answering questions.
Yes. And at this point, Landon was also sitting in there talking with us as well, just to clarify.
When you had the opportunity to view neighbors, I guess ring doorbells or surveillance videos, did you see any strange men on those videos going to your house?
So to clarify, I did, and I was stopped because it was hearsay, but I never saw surveillance of him leaving or not leaving on foot. And I'm sure we'll get to the other surveillance later, but I never saw that. That was just what the neighbors told me. So
what I'm asking you right now, Al, or Mr. Stauch, I apologize, is did you see on any of the neighborhood video any strange men going into or out of your house?
Sure.
I think he just said he never watched any videos. This was just what the neighbors had told him.
That's not what he said.
No, he overruled.
Good try, Tolini.
Re-asked the question.
Yep. Just so the record is very clear.
Okay.
Did you watch surveillance video from neighbors in your neighborhood to see anything as it relates to Gannon's disappearance?
No, sir.
You didn't watch any videos?
Well, I did watch the one video with the truck, but I don't think we've gotten there yet, or we're there. I don't know where we're at.
Okay.
Mr. Allen, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're fine. What I'm asking
Mr.
is
Allen.
very specifically, did you watch some neighborhood video from neighborhood surveillance video
That would be awesome, Britt.
about the time that Gannon went missing?
I watched one, and that was him leaving the truck and coming back home. That's
Okay.
the only one I watched.
Okay, so you didn't watch any other videos to see, to either confirm or not confirm?
Al is struggling here. Yeah, Al is struggling here. But emotion. He's doing a good job. He's just answering before he really is hearing the question. And we all want to give context. So when we're asked a question, we have that urge to explain. And you're really not supposed to. It's really supposed to be yes, no, and Mr. Allen will ask for clarification.
That a strange man had come into the...
I've seen nothing
Okay.
else.
All right. Thank you for clarifying that. At some point, did you become involved in the investigation?
Yes, sir.
Tell the jury about that.
Yeah, Kate.
At some point, and I don't know the reasons why, but I was directed to go to the FBI's office and start, I call it being questioned, but just kind of giving a background history of our relation, mine and the defendant's relationship, and kind of what we've been doing so far this morning. And from that, it turned into pretext phone calls.
Okay. What do you mean by pretext phone calls?
Phone calls where I would get on the phone with the defendant while I was at the FBI
Cover your
office.
ears, Fuchsia. Go ahead.
Be giving direction, and they also gave me the flexibility to talk with her normally, but be giving direction on things to say and things to ask and whatnot.
Who was involved with that process? Obviously you were, but who else from the investigation side was involved in that process?
So of course, yeah, I was there. The defendant was on the phone, and then there was Mark Riley was present.
So I'm going to break in every time you say a name. Who is Mark Riley?
Mark Riley, I think a detective at the sheriff's office or investigator. I'm not sure his role at the time. Jess Bethel, a similar role to Mr. Riley, from what I understand. FBI agent, Mr. Hughes. I don't know his title, a specific title. Amber Cronin.
Who was Amber Cronin with?
FBI as well. John, I always say his name wrong, Grusing. With the FBI. I saw in passing other agents, but those were the ones that I remember being specifically in there. There may have been others. I don't remember specifically.
Do you remember maybe like this agent back here, Andrew Cohen?
I remember him walking around a lot. I don't remember him being specifically with me on any of the phone calls. I may be wrong about that, but.
Would these phone calls originate sometimes by you calling the defendant and other times where the defendant would call you?
Yes, sir.
How do you know that it was the defendant on the other end of that phone?
I recognize her voice, and we would always talk about something relevant that would, I would know it was her, whether it was Gannon or something about our relationship or our life in general.
Would you also in those conversations talk about specifics to the investigation?
Yes, sir.
Would the FBI agents or the sheriff's office agents, detectives, pass information to you to specifically ask the defendant?
Yes, sir.
On some of those recorded phone calls, can you actually hear people whispering to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That's very poorly done. You can
And
hear
Judge,
the police prompt you.
What I intend to get into next is admitting discs and then playing those discs. And some of these phone calls are pretty long. I don't know if you want to go through the admission now and then we can do that other process when we get back, or.
So are any of them less than, say, 15 minutes?
No.
Because of contextual issues, I think it makes sense to play them in order as opposed to breaking them up. The very first one is an hour and 57 minutes.
All right, so let's do the foundational elements necessary for admission.
Okay.
And then we can play them after lunch.
You guys, those fucking, and they even play them all.
And probably just admit all of them at the same time and then go from there.
Debbie, Brandy has made a video. I'm not sure if she's in chat right now, but Brandy has made a video already covering the opening statements for this one. And it's hard for her to do it. I don't know. She has not committed that I've heard to follow the trial all the way through, but she normally.
And so for the record, Judge, what I'll be showing him for admission is People's Exhibits 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55.
Now I know I'd say weeks.
56, 57, 58, and 59.
Okay.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
You may go ahead.
So that might be why we're
that's fine.
So long.
People's Exhibit 35. Obviously a disc again. Do you recognize it?
To the front of it. Yep. Yes, my initials and the date.
Have you had a chance to listen to this recording that's on this disc?
Yes.
Is it a fair and accurate representation of that phone call?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Give us bruising.
People's Exhibit 36. Do you have your initials and date on that one as well?
Yes, sir.
Did you listen to this recording?
Yes, sir.
Is it fair and accurate representation of that recording?
Yes, sir.
People's 37. Are your initials and date on this?
Yes, sir.
Have you had a chance to listen to this item?
Yes.
Is it a fair and accurate
We're on
representation of that
37.
recording?
We're
Yes.
going all the way up to 59. So he just admits evidence.
Equals 38.
Or
Do you have your initials and date?
Yes, sir.
Have you listened to the contents of this disc?
Yes, sir.
Is it a fair and accurate representation?
Yes, sir.
39. Do you have your initials and date?
Yes.
Have you had a chance to listen to the contents of this disc?
Yes, sir.
Is it fair and accurate?
Yes, sir.
40. Are your initials and date on this?
Yes.
Have you listened to the contents of this disc?
Yes, sir.
Is it fair and accurate?
Yes.
They're going over the evidence they're admitting.
51. Are your initials and date on this disc?
Yes.
Have you listened to the contents?
Yes, sir.
Is it fair and accurate?
Yes.
52. Are your initials and date on this disc?
Yes.
Have you listened to the contents?
Yes, sir.
Is it fair and accurate?
Yes, sir.
53. Are your initials and date on this disc?
Yes, sir.
Have you listened to the contents?
Yes, sir.
Fair and accurate?
Yes.
These will be calls between the witness and the
54.
defendant.
Date and initials on this disc?
Yes.
Have you listened to the contents of this disc?
Yes, sir.
Is it fair and accurate?
Yes.
55. Are your initials on this disc?
Yes.
Have you listened to the contents?
Yes.
Fair and accurate?
Yes.
56. Are your initials on this disc?
Yes.
You listen to the contents?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Fair and accurate?
Yes, sir.
57. Are your initials and date on this disc?
Yes.
Did you listen to the contents?
Yes, sir.
Fair and accurate?
Yes, sir.
Tedious, isn't it?
Yeah, sure.
You see your initials and date on this disc?
Yes, sir.
Have you listened to the contents?
Yes.
Is it fair and accurate?
Yes, sir.
You didn't identify that one.
Oh, I'm sorry, 58.
Thank you. Go ahead.
The judge is not
And then
letting it
59. Initials and date?
Yes, sir.
Have you listened to the contents?
Yes.
And is it fair and accurate?
Yes, sir.
This time I move for admission of those exhibit numbers, and I can reread them, or if you have them.
I have them. Mr. Tellini? All right, exhibits 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, and 59 will be admitted.
Okay.
Um,
And then we're going to take a lunch break.
Council approach, please.
Ooh.
We're going to a quick little break here.
Have you guys ever seen a case where like they had pretext calls the way that they did, like
Just
to
in
the
case.
extent they did?
This video is a little bit behind where we are. So we're just waiting. We're not going to show the judge. So we don't see his mouth moving during a sidebar. Yes, Brandy had a hard time with the video. I think any parent.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think you know where this is going and what my conversation was about.
Lunchtime.
We are going to take our lunch break a little bit early. We'll have you come back a little bit early too. And when we come back, we will be playing, it sounds like the telephone calls one after the other. So if I can have everyone back in the jury rooms at about 1:15 so that we can start at say 1:20. Again, do not discuss the case among yourselves. Do not do any research about any aspect of this case. Do not discuss the case with anyone else either. Mr. Combs had relayed to me a question by a juror as to whether or not you can receive a transcript at the end of the trial. The answer to that is no. The transcript is for other purposes. No jury is ever provided with a transcript of the court proceedings as they are occurring. So you'll have to rely on your individual and collective memory as well as any notes that you take, but you will not receive a transcript. So with that, I think it's still a nice day. We're not to tomorrow yet when it's not supposed to be. So if you want to take a walk around the courthouse, something like that, that would be a good thing to do. Again, you already know where all of the eating joints are here in Colorado Springs, and we'll see you back at about 1:15. All rise for the jury, please.
Now, I'm not going to go through all the pretext calls because we did all the pretext calls. So I'm going to jump to when Al comes back on the stand. Part 2. So hold on. Un momento. I'm going to jump back from when Al goes back on the stand, right? Because we listened to all these pretext calls, even though I could listen to them over and over and over again. But we just went through that. Let me see. This is there. More pretext. Hot damn. Okay.
Fine. Oh, Tisha, I gotta go.
Call number 1 is done.
Mr. Allen?
Next. Okay, so this is the dad
Mr.
walking
Stout,
up right
if you would
now.
Resume your seat on the witness stand. I remind you, sir, that you're still under oath.
This is Al. So that's whose voice you're going to be hearing here.
Oh, Megsy, if you need anything, please reach out. You know we love and
Thank you,
support you,
Judge.
Megsy. You're
At the time
stronger
of this
than you
call,
think.
Mr. Stout, did you know the defendant's location?
I did not know, sir.
Can I just say though, part of me does want to like jump around the calls just to see what her damn facial expressions were. Like it was cringe. But go ahead, Tisha, for full glory and for everyone to hear your words. These were your words. This was your narrative. You can't try to turn around and say, oh yeah, no, you guys just don't know the truth. No, it's your words. This is you played for everyone, yet you couldn't lift your fucking head up.
You can move that microphone closer to you if you want to, so you don't have to lean over.
Right.
Yeah, the chair doesn't move.
Right,
Everybody makes
Deborah?
that mistake, but the microphone does.
Thank you.
At the very beginning of that call, it seemed like there was a disconnect where the phone dropped or something like that. During the process of these recorded phone calls, was that common to happen where for some reason the call would drop and then either you or her would have to call the other person back?
Yeah, if I remember correctly, it was. And yes.
There's like a dozen calls or something, maybe 2 dozen.
There were some references in there where you said you were feeling heat and that you went up to up on the north end to buy some, I think you said redneck clothes in that. What did you mean when you were saying that you were feeling heat and that you had to go buy some redneck clothes?
So much of this call and many other calls, I was trying to, if you will, stay in character, just keep, I call it keep her on the hook. So saying things that I knew that we had joked around or talked about in the past. I did, in fact, go to Bass Pro Shop and buy some additional clothes because at one point I didn't have all my stuff out of the house, and I needed some additional things just to get by. So it was kind of telling her actually what I did, but also using something from our past to keep her on the hook. So,
and in that portion of the conversation, you said you hoped that you would run into her while you were up north.
Right.
For context purposes, had the defendant told you that she was staying with somebody up in the north part of El Paso County?
She did. There was some story. I don't remember the specifics, but yes, she was up there, and that's why I referenced that. When I said she, I meant the defendant.
Okay. And but you didn't have any independent knowledge whether she was up north in El Paso County or someplace else even in the country?
No, sir. I had no knowledge of her whereabouts, period.
She mentioned in that phone call about Gannon stepped on something in the garage and cut his foot on the boards and got blood on the boards.
Yes, I heard that in the phone call.
Can you describe for the jury and what boards she would be talking about and where in the garage those boards might have been?
So as you saw in a photo, the garage was pretty messy, but there was, depending on what project I had going on, I would stash boards on that. Looking into the garage on the left-hand side, I'd lay them down so she could drive over them. When she parked her car in the garage, I just ran out of room as I had projects stacking up and whatnot.
And just so we're orienting ourselves correctly, when you say looking into the garage on the left-hand side, you're talking about from the street?
From the street view, yes, sir.
Yep. Was it common for Gannon to take out the trash, as was referenced in that phone call?
Absolutely. That was one of his chores.
Where was the trash? Where would he take it out to?
So once again, from the street view, the gate that was referenced numerous times was to the left of the garage. And so he would typically go out the back door, through the backyard and then around the house to the trash can, because the gate we kept locked typically.
So let's talk a little bit about that backyard. Was it completely fenced in?
Yes, it was fenced in all the way around. Yes, sir.
What kind of fence did it have?
I believe it was a wooden fence. I think. Yeah.
Was it Short fence, tall fence?
It was like a maybe 6 or 8 foot privacy type fence all the way around.
Okay.
And joining, the neighbors had joining sides, so there wasn't 2 fences. It was just 1 fence on each side and the back that joined the neighbors.
No, I don't.
How many gates in the backyard?
Just the one on the, as I referenced already, the left-hand side looking at the garage from the street.
There was reference to a key in that phone call as well, a key to the.
Hey, listen, Megsy. I've cried like when I dropped my fork before. We all have those days, and it's totally okay. Just get it out, like we all get like that. It's not unusual, so, but we're all here if you need to. Well, no, we're all here if you need us. I don't think so, Brona, and I apologize if I'm pronouncing that wrong. I think in the beginning, even when I could refer back to photos, I think she did a great job, keeping up with hygiene and putting on that performance. I think it really deteriorated later in the relationship when she started caring less about putting on a good performance and her true self came out. But the hygiene became really bad. I don't know if she was using any substances. No, not at all, Megsy. You're not alone. But it was clear that in like a manic state, up, not keeping hygiene a priority. She's gonna crawl out of your toilet.
Gate?
Yes, sir.
Did you keep that gate locked, closed?
Yeah, we kept it locked. The only time I really remember unlocking it on a regular basis was to cut the grass in the backyard.
Where was that key normally kept?
I had a little basket of just whatever, just doodads on top of my dresser or somewhere in the master bedroom, and the key would be in there. It was a couple keys on a keychain, and I kept it in that basket.
Was the lock on the hopefully I'm going to describe this correctly when I'm asking this question. Was it a padlock, first of all?
It was.
Yeah,
was that padlock on the outside of the gate, meaning closer to the street, or on the inside yard part of the gate?
For instance, if Gannon were to unlock it, he would have had to go through the backyard and access it from the backyard side of the gate to unlock it. He could not reach over from the front yard side. Is that clear enough?
No.
Yeah. So just so we're clear, the lock that is locking the gate is on the inside of the yard.
Yes. Yeah. On the backyard side. Yes, sir.
How tall was Gannon?
Oh, I don't remember right off the top of my head. Approaching 5 foot. I don't know if he had hit 5 foot yet. Is it in that range?
I guess just to really drive home this point, maybe unnecessarily, but was he tall enough, or did he have long enough arms that he could reach over a 6 foot fence and unlock the gate?
Yeah, let me reiterate. I just mentioned that a second ago. He could not open the gate from the front yard. I mean, if he was standing on a ladder or something, but standing on the ground, he could not. He was not tall enough to reach over and unlock it. He had to go from the back.
Yeah, the courtroom is empty right now as they just came back from the phone call. But it wasn't usually that empty. You're gonna see oh no, I do, huh? I say Laria. What is it? Can you type it out in a way where I know how to pronounce it? Oh man, but it's not surprising. I pronounce half of your names wrong. So I'm sorry. Laria. I can't really interpret it differently. Laria. Carlos. I don't. How do you do it? You too, Kimberly. Laria. Laraya. Oh, like Mariah. Laria. Oh man, now I feel stupid. I don't even know what it is, but I know I have it really far off. We're all anticipating the message. Where is it? How do you pronounce it? Laria. Lori, you never answered us. Well, I'll play until you tell me. Thank you, Emily. Thank you. I got something right.
Back. Could you even?
I think I could. I pull myself up far enough to get
Okay,
it.
hold on,
I'm
wait.
not sure, but I don't remember.
What Nana said. Hold on, going up to Nana. Like Mariah. Lariah. Lariah. I mean, oh no. I've been calling you Laria. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Oh man. I'm sorry. Oh man. Lariah. That's very pretty. It's much prettier than Laria. Okay. I'm so sorry. Please, you guys, in the future, if I am butchering your name, please don't hesitate. You don't need to be polite, okay? You don't need to be polite. Just tell me, okay? Because I would rather get it correct than constantly call you the wrong name, okay? I apologize, Lariah. And unfortunately, every time I say your name, I'm gonna have to think Mariah to rhyme it. But don't try to be kind. Don't just accept me saying the wrong name. Just correct it, please. Leviosa, not Leviosa. Exactly. Okay. I'm so sorry, Laria. Now it makes sense, though. Now it makes sense.
Ever doing that because the lock was a little bit, it hung a little bit lower. It wasn't at the top. So,
okay. There was mention of Kobe. Who is Kobe referenced in there?
Kobe Bryant. He
Oh my
died,
God.
as many of us know, he died on that Sunday, which I think would have been the 26th. And I think it was in the phone call I said she had sent me a text message about it right when I landed at the airport in Lawton,
Dom?
Oklahoma.
Next
That's
thing
what
I
found
know,
out.
Okay. So
Dom's gonna say, it is not Dom S, it's Dom's. All right. I don't trust nothing now. Hi, Manny.
she had sent you a text message in reference to Kobe Bryant dying in that helicopter crash.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And that's what that references to.
Yes, sir.
There was reference of bath salts. Tell us about the bath salts. What was that reference in regard to?
So,
Mariah. It just sounds silly now.
some years ago, bath salts became kind of a recreational drug or something. I don't know much about it. I don't think that's the same bath salts as you put in your bathtub. I'm not 100% sure, but something came up in a text message thread where I referenced earlier about a friend on the bus, this new friend that I'd never found to exist, but he said Gannon could come over and play if Gannon were to bring bath salts with him or some drugs.
Stop it. Are you fucking with me? Are you fucking with me or are you being serious right now? Because if you're being serious, I'm ending this live right now. Your name isn't Tiny's Lamb. Seriously. Is that a fucking with me comment or are you serious? Because if you're serious, I'm walking away now. I'm serious. I'm walking away now. It's Tiny's Lamb, right? Please tell me. Please tell me it's Tiny's Lamb. Please, okay? Because I'm gonna really feel stupid if it's not, okay? It's pronounced penis, like menis, or penis with a T. Are you serious? Oh my god. Penis lamb? No, that's not my fault though. Okay. That one's not my fault. That makes no sense. That makes no sense. So this one's your fault, okay? This one is your fault. I'm sorry. I don't take ownership of this. Tennis lamp? What's a tennis? There's a tennis. Thank you, Real John, though. No, I'm not accepting that. I'm going to. It really isn't your fault. I've been calling you Tiny's lamp. You know what? Maybe I shouldn't have told everyone. Just let me keep mispronouncing it, okay? Because I swear if half of you start to speak up with some crazy pronunciation, I can't handle it. I can't. I thought you were Tiny's lamb this entire time. And I'm going to continue calling you that. I'm sorry. I am. Oh my God, I can't handle it. I can't handle it. I can't. Oh.
Or whatever. And that's where the bath salts were introduced into the conversation. The next thing I did was ask Tisha to get, or the defendant to get all that. We had some,
we love you.
Household bath salts. I said, get all those and put them up just in case.
Put them up for what reason?
In case that story was true.
But put them up so that maybe Gannon couldn't get to them?
Find them, or Gannon couldn't get them or whatever.
Okay. There was a reference by the defendant to, the way I wrote it down was the Douglas County thing, basically. Were you aware that there were searches happening up on the northern part of El Paso County, southern part of Douglas County line?
Yeah, at some point, I don't remember the exact date, but I know the search moved into that area because we were, I and those around me were following the news pretty closely and getting most of our information from there. So to your knowledge, that the fact that there was a search happening up in that part of the state was actually being broadcast on the news? I believe so. Yes, sir. That's where you learned it? Yeah, that's where I learned it. I think also in those pretext calls, that area was mentioned to me at one point. No specifics were given, just had you ever been through that area or whatever. So based on her reference, did that indicate to you that she also had learned that there was a search happening in that area as well? I don't know if in that moment I put it together and, immediately following that phone call, I think somewhere down the line, I put it together that, she must have. I
love the Key and Peele.
Put those together, seen the news as well and brought that up because of that. I'm not sure, Mr. Allen.
And then the comment that she makes close in time to that comment about Douglas County is that y'all are barking up the wrong tree.
Yes.
In your mind, was that her trying to move the investigation away from that area?
Objection calls for speculation.
Spade.
Who was Uncle Matt?
That's the first, I think I said that in the phone call. I've never heard of, I brought up the defendant's sister's ex-husband or ex-boyfriend or something. That's the only person I could think of the name Matt that could have been referred to as an uncle. No other person that I've ever heard of.
So when she said Uncle Matt, that is not a name that you knew about?
No, sir.
Obviously, it sounds like in that phone call, there was a range of emotion happening on the defendant's part, especially. Was
Eagle eye.
That range of emotion consistent with her personality the way you knew it?
Absolutely.
Aaron.
In that particular phone call, did she ever change her persona or identity as you were talking to her?
Objection calls for speculation.
Overruled.
In that phone call, was your question? Yeah.
In that call.
Yeah, Mr. Allen, in that phone call, I only ever was talking to the defendant.
Never changed personality.
You mentioned in that phone call, these people are after me now. What did you mean by that?
Absolutely nothing. Just, there was a statement just to put myself in her shoes as well. To once again, try to keep her on the hook.
Okay. And again, with this question, I'm not going to ask you to opine on the ultimate question as to the purpose of this trial, but you made a comment, I don't believe you killed him. Was that a question again that you were asking to keep her on the hook and keep talking?
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Okay. What about the idea that you made mention in that phone call about even you were not getting truth from her or even the police? Was that again another one of these references to you trying to keep her on the phone and keep talking?
Yeah, absolutely. It was a little bit of both. I felt I wasn't getting truth from her, but she was saying the police aren't doing their job. So it was a little bit of both.
When you had custody of Gannon and Lena, when you were still married with the defendant, would the kids sometimes go visit Landon, spend time with Landon?
Yeah, there's scheduled visits, holidays, summertime, I don't remember the exact schedule right now, but.
Would the defendant have like a dance party when the kids would leave, indicating she was happy that they were no longer in the house?
There was one or two times I remember her and Harley, or excuse me, the defendant and Harley having what I call a dance party. This would have been when we lived in Myrtle Beach when I did not yet have custody. So it was like weekend visits or whatever after they left.
And then I think it's clear based off of the context of the way that call unfolded. But did this call occur before or after Gannon's remains were found?
This was before.
Okay. Judge, the next portion that I intend to get into would be the next phone call, which is about 37 minutes long. So I'm wondering if we should potentially
wait.
Yeah, counsel approach for a moment.
Okay, we've got a little sidebar going on. Plain. The reason I'm doing this is because the judge has ordered that no audio or video of bench trials should be broadcast, and he is broadcasting his face. So those who can read lips can see what's happening. Looks like they might be done here. Well, nope, they're
I have some good news and some bad news. And the good news is that the other phone calls that I think are going to be played are not as long as the first one. The bad news is that we have about 20 minutes, and I don't think we can efficiently use your time. But I also think that we've had a long afternoon, so I think that probably everybody could use a break early. We are still on track. We are still moving things along. The lawyers are, I think, doing their best to try and move things along. Sometimes things just take longer than what they think. Sometimes they go faster than what they think. So I apologize that we cannot efficiently use your time today, but I think it's probably good that everybody has a break. So we're going to end early. Again, do not discuss the case among yourselves. Do not discuss the case with anyone.
Okay. So when we pick up, I might jump through some of the call as they're playing it, because the rest, they don't play all of the calls in full. That first one they played over an hour, but the rest are shorter. So if you guys want, we could jump through some portions, because I want to see Letecia's reaction and commentate over how she reacts to certain things, like the next one's only like 30 minutes or something. But we'll pick up where we last left off. And I know that there isn't too much left with Al, that he has to have cross. But it didn't go like long. And then I'm going to look for the witness lineup and see what witness, because we're going to go in chronological order and see what witness you want to do next. I know the bridge inspector is coming up too. I don't know if you guys are interested in jumping through. We don't have to listen to the full testimony, even if there's a certain witness you want to listen to some of it, like just the parts, because a lot of times the witness, they have to get a lot of context, like who are you, what's your job, we don't have to listen to all that versus the questions we want to listen to. But I will be on tomorrow night, but tomorrow night I'm doing Gypsy again, and I'm gonna have Shakto up, and we're gonna go through some discussions I want to do on her with the finale of her show, the pregnancy, cringiest moments in her interrogation, things like that. So thank you all for being here. I apologize for anybody's name I am mispronouncing. But Tinas, that's on you. That one's on you. Daddy Day, Roro, you're killing me. Yeah, it would. But what's it called? Thank you so much for everyone for being here. Magsy, we love you. I hope you feel better. So Harlot, it's Gypsy Rose Life After Lockup, and it's on Lifetime, even though I noticed they post like full episodes on YouTube also. But you could download the Lifetime app and just watch them. But yes, drink sage, drink holy water, and pray. Exactly. So I hope you all have an amazing rest of your night. I made it 2 hours. I'm proud of myself. But yeah, it is. It always, like, this trial just went as best as it could, in my opinion, as best as it could. But I hope you all have an amazing rest of your evening, even you, Tiny Slam. And I will see you guys all tomorrow.
For the interviews, because I don't have any fancy clothes.
You go to my closet, you take whatever you need. You too, Brennan. You guys got to look sharp. It's the most important day of our lives, okay?
Okay, Dad.
What's your name? What's your age? Where you from? What's your sign? Who you love? What's your style? What you do? What you drive? Stop, drop, and roll. Do that. Do it like a pro. Do that. Stop, drop, and roll. Do that. Do it like a pro. Do that. Hit top, rollie, boy, we know you phony. Take her to the mall and buy her what she want it. Already smashed, so I'ma let the homie. RP my cash and RP a Kobe. If you're born in September, then you know you're my type. If I see you on Tinder, then I gotta swipe right. If you're born in October, then you're just like me. Here's a resume, can you fill this out, please? What's your name? What's your age? Where you from?